I just want to see things click. And I want to see the energy back in people's eyes in their life. And they're just like,
Mm.
holy shit, I've tried this and it works. And it's like, of course it works. You've known it. You just have been avoiding to do it.
I always tell people the fastest way for you to grow as an artist, as a business, is to surround yourself with people that are also up to big things. They're thinking big, they're taking new actions, they're stepping outside their comfort zone, shifting their mindset, and taking new actions to produce new results. And the episode that I'm sharing today is a repeat of an episode I did a while ago with Andy Foe, who is a phenomenal tattoo artist and mentor. And if you haven't checked him out, definitely give him a follow on Instagram. He shares a lot of content on not just tattooing and technique, but also on business mindset, fitness mindset. And he is such an inspirational human being and out to cause good in the world. This is one of my favorite episodes and guests that I've had on the podcast, and I'm really excited to share it with you, especially if you haven't heard it before. Even if you have, it is worth a second visit. So check out this episode with Andy Foe. Welcome to the Artful Dollar. Me, Ryan, tattooer, financial coach, seeker, whatever you want to call me. I am been looking forward to this conversation for a while. Today we have our guest Andy Foe out of Austin, Texas. He is a tattooer and owner of Upside Tattoo. I want to learn a little bit more about Upside and understand you guys do things a little bit differently, but welcome to the show, Andy.
Thanks for having me on, Ryan. It's a pleasure. I've been seeing your stuff for a while, so to get on the Artful Dollar is really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Glad to have you. And what draws us together, or at least the thread, is that we're both tattooers, we're both shop owners, and really passionate about personal and professional development.
Yeah, that's precisely it. Like I've always been that way. And just as I get more involved in like working on myself, then you start to find the network of like other people who are doing the same thing. So that's how we kind of, cross interconnect within the same space. And it's great. Like I didn't grow up that way. I grew up in Flatbush where like there is no personal development. It's just like survival mode, but as I like just get older and progress and develop a little bit more, like I just see it and it's very lightening. Like it's very like joyful just to kind of see like there's hope, there's joy like in everything that we do, especially within tattooing. Like that's our bloodline. That's what I enjoy doing the most.
Yeah. What got you into, or what was the beginning for you in terms of like there was an interest in this thing? And the term personal development is a very broad place, but like what was that like in the beginning for you when that became it wasn't a thing and then it was a thing?
I think it started with my dad. My dad was like a very strict disciplinarian. He always like try harder, do better. Like, and I just hated it, because like no kid wants to like try harder or do better. Like we just want to do what kids do. But my dad was like really, when I think about like my first mentor, and he constantly like pushed me to like always try harder. My dad passed away when I was 16. He was involved in like a homicide robbery. And then I just lost a father figure. But I've always seeked other guides and mentors. And it was through, bosses at different jobs. Perhaps it was professors at college and things like that. And I've always leaned towards the people who were like encouraging you that there was more for you. And as I worked other jobs, like people would, my supervisors, my bosses, they would sit with me and like give me books to read and, give me advice on how I could perhaps, connect with employees a little bit better or how to do business a little bit differently. So guides and mentors have always been there. And I've always had some level of personal development, but I didn't know that that was a thing. And then I just started to learn more about, self-help books and, developing good habits and things like that it just kind of snowballed that once I got into tattooing, I just took everything that I've learned. I started tattooing at 22. I'm 35 now. And I just took everything that I've learned from my dad and other mentors. Like, how can I apply what I've learned to be the best tattoo artist possible, whatever that means?
Yeah.
And from there, you realize like there is no finishing line. Like whatever you're doing, you can always be better at that.
Do you, and like you mentioned to me before, you're also do some coaching, and how would you describe yourself or the coaching work that you do?
Yeah, so I kind of split it into two groups. So like I'm a mentor and a coach. And I say mentor because like I mentor people specifically to like within tattooing. So I've been tattooing since 2011. I think probably since like 2014, working at my brother's shop. There's always been other new artists that are coming in, perhaps they're apprentices or people that are starting around the same time. And everyone just wants to learn from each other. But I just have this way of thinking and speaking that I've always been very eager to like help other people grow. So I'd say unofficially mentoring since like 2014 to help like the next apprentice scrub tubes better, or like how to set up better, or how to show up on time, how to have better energy. And then 2020, I started to, I guess, formally mentor people online, which were like other tattoo artists who wanted to learn more on like the technical side of things, composition, working on the business side or social media. So I mentor tattoo artists on how to be better on the technical aspects, on the business side. But then there's a personal development side, which I say now more so like it's a coach, a life coach, where I'm just helping people develop their mindset. Perhaps they need to get out of some bad habits. They want to quit drinking or smoking or doing drugs. They want to just get their energy up or work on their fitness. It's kind of anything and everything. So when we get tattoo artists that come into this mentorship program, I just bundle it as personal and business development. And for non-tattoo artists, it's personal development. And everyone, we focus on self-mastery, how to become the best version of yourself in anything and everything that you do. And just taking that program that I do, it's applicable to anyone and everyone.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more that, mindset and the term mindset gets thrown around a lot, but like it is everything. It is everything. There's no part of life. If there's an area of your life that isn't working or isn't working as well as you'd like it to, you could try to work harder. You could try to find some new strategy, some new approach. And like you could say that your mindset does shift when you take new actions. I think your new actions do start to lead to a new mindset, but also a new mindset leads to new actions. And I think it's both. Like if I asked you, like, how would you describe mindset to someone who's like, what do you even mean by that? How would you describe that?
I've just started using the word mindset maybe within the last year. But prior to that, I just had this phrase, like what I actually teach besides how to get better at tattooing, how to grow your business or your personal brand, is I just teach an approach, how to tattoo, how to think about social media, how to work on your health or your fitness. So it's always like a how to approach. And I almost break it down almost like scientifically, where like the thing I like to use is like you study everything about your actions, you analyze the results, you improve and you repeat. So I've had this long way of saying just like mindset, but it's always just a how to live life, how to do business, how to make friends. And when you think about it that way, that's a mindset on how to live life, how to, make friends or do business. So I don't know, it's just an approach to anything.
Yeah. I try to explain it to people and like the lens you're looking through, right? That could be one way of saying, if you had rose colored glasses on, like the world would look red, but after a while, the world wouldn't look red. It would just look the way it looks.
Normal
and
now, yeah.
Then if you put on blue glasses, like all of a sudden the world looks different. Certain things stand out to you that wouldn't stand out to you before. With this new lens, and new opportunities stand out that you would otherwise not even think about or take advantage of. And I also think like your best thinking got you to where you are right now. And that's not good or bad or right or wrong. That's just what's so. It's like your best thinking got you to where you are. So if we change the way you think and we change your perspective, well, we're going to get somewhere else. And that's, I think, the point of doing work in the realm of mindset. And again, it's a very broad topic, and something I talk a lot about is money mindset, our relationship with money. Do you have anything like, how's your relationship with money going, Andy? Any perspective on that?
It's getting better. I've had a really poor relationship with money. We didn't have much growing up. My dad was like a failed entrepreneur. So he's owned many businesses in the past. My dad was 40 when he had me. He's owned donut shops and clothing factories and, all these different things. And I saw him at maybe perhaps the tail end of his entrepreneurship, getting burned in rubber importing, exporting deals, just trying to work on like hair accessories. And eventually I think he just got tired and he ended up doing like building maintenance work, evenings from 4 to midnight. And he climbed the ranks of doing that. But we were just barely getting by, and we've had enough to, enjoy a little vacation from New York to Maryland or something. We didn't do anything big, but we didn't have a lot of it. There was always arguments about it. Whenever there was arguments, brand new things were thrown or broken. So it was like, whatever we did have, we cherished it. But the things that we cherished were sometimes thrown away too, because it didn't matter much, because, money was hard to come by. So when my dad passed away when I was 16, he was mainly a big part of the provider for the family. Then I slowly had to like start making my way to making money and stuff. And any money that I had, I just didn't know how to save it, and I just ended up spending it. A lot of my money just came in, went out, and I didn't know much about it. And then when I got into tattooing, it was kind of the same thing. You figure like you make more money, like you'll figure out like at some point, like you could
You
just
must
save
have more
more of it.
money. You
You
make more
must have
money.
more
You
money.
must have more money.
But the same bad habits that you had when you had $100 versus when you have $100,000, the same habits, are there because you're the same person.
Yeah.
So perhaps maybe this past 2 or 3 years, as I began to take control of my own finances and open my own shop, and I have a family now, the responsibility, like the stakes seem a little bit higher. So you just have to learn a little bit more. And the way that I look at money now when it comes to like my relationship with money is like, what happens if I die? And not necessarily what happens to me and my money, but what happens to my family. So I'm always thinking now, like in that sense of like, how can I better help prepare my family if something were to happen to me? Or if I couldn't tattoo anymore, which is what happens with a lot of tattooers. Like if something happens to this hand, to this wrist, what else do you have?
Yeah.
So when I had that realization, my relationship with money became a little bit more serious. Instead of just this thing that you have and you spend, now it's like, how can I use this as a tool to create a better life for myself and my family and the people around me?
Yeah. I shared on my podcast and social media that I participated in ayahuasca ceremonies. I don't know if you have any experience with plant medicine, but
With some.
yeah, I had you call it like a download or insight, whatever, that money is a tool for taking things seriously.
Mm.
And you can really look at like the way you use money shows very much so the things in your life that you take seriously, and
Yeah.
maybe you're taking your image very seriously, or maybe you're taking your family very seriously, or your business or your future. But
Yeah.
where you put your money really says a lot about what you're taking seriously and what you're not taking seriously in your life. Hey, all you artful listeners, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for giving a listen to the podcast. I hope that it's bringing some value to you in your life. That's really why I started this podcast. And if you're getting something useful or valuable out of it, I just want to invite you to go rate and review this podcast. It really helps me out. And it also helps other people find this podcast so that they can get some value out of it. They can feel more free around money and just get some wisdom and some knowledge that we're trying to share on here. So again, I'm not really asking anything else of you other than to just leave a review and rating for this podcast. It really helps me out and it helps other people find us. So thanks and enjoy the show.
That's a good download.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good one.
My download was from Robert Kiyosaki. I think it was 2019. Rich Dad, Poor Dad has always been on my radar, but I picked it up, I read it, and there was one line, and I'm going to paraphrase, like, wealth is when how long could you sustain yourself if you stopped working right now? Like your current lifestyle, everything that you're doing, how long could you go for? And at the time I was like, I've only got a month. After that, I'm going to be poor. Like I don't have wealth. I don't have anything to generate outside of like the way that I'm spending and the way that I'm living my life. And at some point you can alter your lifestyle, but like, for him, the wealth was like, how long can you go sustain where you're at? And if you can go infinitely or you can grow and progress beyond that, then that's amazing. And I remember I started having heart palpitations. I was like, holy shit, like I don't have a lot. Like if something happens to me, I had my wife, my daughter at the time. I was like, they're fucked. So how do I unfuck myself in this situation and get everyone better prepared? And then it started to I started to have the personal responsibility that as the main income provider, like how do you not fuck up your family financially, if you will?
What did you do? I always ask people. So like I speak with hundreds of tattooers about their finances. And sometimes they'll tell me that there was a period in their life where they actually had a lot more savings than they do now. And I'll often ask them like, what were you doing then that was really working for you? Or what's different now, that wasn't then. So for you, what did you do that made a difference for you and helped you not just make money and sort of put some money away, but actually save it and accumulate and grow your savings?
I started to audit all of my finances. So before I had a financial or business manager who was like managing everything, and I didn't really do much other than like, I'm going to check my bank account real quick. I'm going to check my credit card statements, but I had no knowledge or insight of like how the ins and outs of my business as, an LLC, as a tattoo artist was operating. I had somebody else who was like overshadowing everything. And I would just get weekly P&L reports and I would just see, the profit or the revenue, but I didn't really understand fully how much I was spending in different categories and where my money was going. I just had an idea. It was like, if I wanted to buy something, I just had to work 2.5 more days and I could get this thing, or maybe it's 2 more days per month. And that's how I've always looked at things, which was like, if I just did 2 more tattoos, I could buy this thing. Or if I just worked for 3 more days, I could take a vacation and do this thing. And I had to really break that habit And my wife would always tell me, like, you just can't continue looking at it that way. But that's all that I
Yeah.
knew. It was
Yeah.
a really horrible way to look at it. So then I started to analyze all of my spending, and I realized I was in a lot of debt. Like I had $120,000 in my credit card debt. I lent my
Wow.
business manager $70,000 prior to, and I didn't really have much in savings. I knew that I was making money, but my accounts were always like, it was just coming in and going right back out.
Yeah.
And I took the full blame and responsibility of like, I'm the one that has to money manage better. You can't rely on somebody else. You can have other people be involved in the financial and business aspects of it, but you need to be the one that's combing through and making sure like there's no leaks, there's no holes, that you're doing everything to make
Yeah.
sure that you're on the path to where you want to go.
It doesn't
And
matter how much money you make. If your bucket has holes in it
yeah,
and you put $1 million in that bucket, you're going to have $0.
correct. And I didn't know what my goal was, and I didn't really have a path. So at that time, I just started out with like just staring at my feet, staring at my bank accounts, my credit cards, and I was like, I need to do a full inventory of everything. And in the beginning, it was like, let's cut out this subscription, let's stop spending here, spending there. I believe like you can't really just continue to save your way to making more money. Like that's a good start, but then you have to like think about other things as well. So once I became like more personally responsible for my finances, then I could really like see the financial health of where it was at, and then now start to figure out different moves on what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So for you, it was really helpful were you like looking at bank statements? Were you like really like diving into the numbers, the nitty gritty of it?
Yeah, and then also just checking like the trends in the history of like not just the current bank statement now, but you said you worked this many days, this many hours. Like, what does that look like for this month, the past month?
Mm,
How does that compare to the previous year? So most people, myself included at the time, you don't really have an understanding of how to do that or what to look for. But I was just had a notebook and it was just all scattered of like December this year, November this year compared to previous years. And then I realized I was like, oh, there's systems out there that are already doing this. You can get
yeah.
on QuickBooks and do this, but
You get on QuickBooks.
no
Absolutely.
one, no
You
one
can break
taught
it
me
down
that.
month to month. You can see
Yeah,
where every single dollar in your business goes, the different areas, the whole
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. So nobody taught me that. I just
Yeah.
had somebody who did it for me, and I just felt financially dependent on that person to be able to like present to me the information that I needed or that I wanted to see. But it still didn't give me the insight of like how I wanted to manage my money, and most importantly, I didn't have really a goal on where I was trying to go. So when you don't have a goal, you just go day to day, week to week, month to month, and
Yeah.
whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. I would say life is like pulling a line, right? When I first started tattooing, I was so focused on my needle and like how deep it is and where it is. And like my hand would kind of like shake. And after I got like comfortable with it, I started to look at where I wanted the needle to go. And I could look
Yeah,
and my hand would just flow there naturally.
yeah,
And if you're in life and you don't have a goal, you don't know where you want your needle to go. And so
yeah,
you're just like moving all around, you're reacting, you're trying to figure out the right depth, the right speed. And when you say, you know what, 5 years from now, I want to own a business or buy a house, or 30 years from now, I want to retire with X amount of dollars. I find like those short term goals, the short term actions, like they just start to happen a little more naturally, a little more
yeah.
smoothly.
hmm Yeah, I think it's important to have both short and long term. And like
Yeah.
I have an idea of the long term, but I've realized that every year in the past, if I was to try to make a 5 year projection or a 2 year projection, it was never going to be correct because every year has changed for me so fast. And if you're serious about your goals and your personal development, your business development, your creative endeavors, the results should be happening way faster. That your projections end up moving closer to the starting line than they are to the finish. So
Yeah.
having these bold long-term goals are great. Having short-term habits and actions that are going to give you short-term goals also, then that just streamlines everything. Where, like you said, I use the driving analogy. Like, you just look how far ahead. Like, you don't always need to look at, 10 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet in front of you. You just know that you need to go like quarter mile or mile down there, and like you'll generally
Right.
stay the course.
Yeah. You can apply it to something I used to do, like road bike racing,
Same
and I
thing.
had a
Yeah, me too.
coach, and he said, don't look at like you don't have to worry about even steering the bike, because if you
Yeah,
just look at where you want the bike to go, the bike's going to go there. And
yeah.
as soon as he told me that, shifted my whole perspective around cycling, and it was just a smoother ride. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I did. When I was living in New York, I was commuting by bicycle also. So I would ride from like Brooklyn to Chinatown, and like it was just a joy. But I've had several like close encounters just riding through the city. So I live out
Yeah.
here in Austin. I don't cycle anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to learn a little more about Upside. Tell me a little bit because I know you guys do some things differently there. What's the deal?
I try to have it everything like as close to like a family or group as possible, you know. So in general, we're open 4 days a week. It's Tuesday to Friday. Everyone comes in the same time, and clients come in at like 10:30. And the reason why is like we have like this welcome in window from like 10:30 to 11, where like clients settle in, they put their stuff down, they use the restroom, they finish their breakfast. Sometimes they come a little bit late. The clients want to see the designs. Like there's just this window to like, hey, no rush, no worries. Versus I've been to
Yeah.
other places and I adjusted my schedule a little bit differently where like clients pop in right at the time of their appointment. They're kind of rushed. They need to settle in. And like, there's just this anxiety, this nervousness that builds up. So we just have them like, just chill, relax, and just get comfortable within the space. We offer them tea or whatnot. And it's just like, there's no rush to the day. So that's just the first thing. We want to take this really anxiety ridden, nervous, stressful experience that's about to happen and like bring the tension down a little bit.
Yeah.
11
I love that.
o'clock, we all start the day with a little bit of breath work and gratitude share. That just gets everyone to know each other. So I've worked at other tattoo spaces where there's just so many people within there and you don't say a single word to the other person except at the end, it's like, nice tattoo. Versus here, like everyone gets to know each other a little bit more. And then after that, we all work on our designs and the music stays about the same. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. Like we don't have any artwork on the walls, no TVs. I have like, if I was to just summarize it, it's like theta music, theta waves, spa
Mhm.
music, where like it's just calm, relaxing music that
Mm.
no one's ever really hated it. But I've worked at other shops where like everyone's fighting for the speaker system.
Right.
Some
Yeah.
days you like the music, some days you don't. It's getting hijacked. And the other artists and the clients, like there's no cell phones, there's no headphones because we want everyone to be immersed in the experience where like it is a energy exchange. You know, this
Yeah.
is a moment where the client is permanently altering their body. They've been saving, they've been waiting for this one particular moment. Then the artist just puts their headphones on and like does the thing and it's this transaction.
Yeah.
It's just like we don't have that here, you know, like we get to know everyone on a first name basis. Everyone like hugs on their way in, hugs on their way out. And it just ends up being this experience where what I've imagined is like I wanted clients to say, I can't imagine getting tattooed anywhere else. Thank you for seeing me. Thanks for working on my design. Thanks for giving us a great experience. And people have said that. And it's
Yeah.
not that this is like the best shop or the best experience, but this is what I would like as a client. This is what I
Yeah.
would like as an artist. And then as we put that out there into the Instagram and into the universe, we start to find clients and artists who resonate with that also. And like, it's kind of like, again, we say like a spa day where people can't wait to come in and turn their phones off.
Yeah.
They take their shoes off when they come in and then they're just like sitting there with their cup of tea and they're just like, I'm so excited to catch up with you. And like, we already make long-term friends with a lot of our clients, but to actually sit there and like have conversations with them.
Yeah.
The other side of that, I'll add real quick, is like more clients are falling asleep, you know, because like you take the nervousness, the anxiety away from it. There's no distractions that they can run to or their phones or anything. Where like,
I think I saw a picture. You guys have some like comfy situation, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
some nice
And like,
furniture.
that's right. And then it's like we're kind of forcing clients to meditate or to tune in. So now instead of like escaping to like this 3-minute song, which you know is over, then you're getting to the next one, or you're trying to like scroll on
Right.
Instagram and you're distracting, you're in the pain, you're out the pain. They can just kind of sit there and breathe. And they don't realize sometimes what's happening. They forget. They're just connecting with their artist. They're meditating. They're falling asleep. There's less swelling. There's less redness. There's less bleeding. And it's like, how? I think if you just remove the nervousness, the anxiety of it, and you can just get them to relax, they sit much better. Doesn't happen all the time because
Yeah.
some people are just wired a little bit differently. But
Totally.
I think the environment is a big plus to being able to help mitigate some of that pain.
First of all, it's inspiring, really. And I can also see that like it's not for everyone and it's
No.
not supposed to be for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much. I did this post the other day. I had an artist apply to my studio and they brought a resume. I thought it was a really nice
Yeah, I saw
touch.
that. Uh-huh.
I'm not used to an artist bringing a resume. I never brought a resume to a shop, but I thought it showed a level of commitment, dedication, and professionalism, which I think are all qualities that make a great tattooer.
Mhm.
This post got shat on by so many tattoo artists.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, I did not realize this would be such a controversial idea.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like if this isn't for you, that's fine. That's great.
Yeah.
It's not for you. I didn't make the post for you.
Yeah.
All right. I made it for everyone else, the hundreds of people that liked it and thought the idea was a really nice, refreshing change. That's who I made it for. If you don't like it, if you don't like my shop, if you don't like my content, if you don't like my art, it's not for you. I didn't make it for you. You're not supposed to like it.
Yeah. But the people that it's for, you get drawn to what you put out.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I became more open about sharing who I am, my stories, my thoughts, my experience, what I'm going through day to day, what upside is like. And I know there's plenty of people just like, that's some weird shit. Or that's sometimes I think I'm like, is this too weird? Like, should I still keep doing this? But then the people that come in and they love it, I'm like, well, this is why I do it, because everyone that sits in our chairs, they're our ideal clients.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
no fuss, there's no hesitation, because the ones who feel like it's too weird, they'll look at the Instagram, they'll look at our page and go, no, I don't want to get tattooed there. And I'm like, that's okay. But then
Yeah.
there's other people who are just like, this is the place that I've been looking for. And if it's what you're looking for and you happen to stumble across it, we welcome you in here. You know, like it's just, I think you always attract what you put out into the world, whether it's in real life, on Instagram, or wherever it is. Like, be more of who you are openly, and like you'll just attract the ideal clients. That's one of the things like I mentor artists on, is like the tattoo work is not enough, because like you have to share more of who you are. There's so many great tattoos and artwork out there. Like, why should people go to you? And as you begin to like share more of your thoughts, your ideas, your artwork, the reason why you design or tattoo things a certain way, then people will look at that and go like, wow, I actually like that about this artist. I'm going to go to you because of your beliefs, your
Yeah.
ideas, who you are as an artist, rather than just as the person who's offering a service for this finished product.
Yeah. What you're talking about now is something I've been talking a lot about in my course with a lot of people, and really in the realm of marketing. And like, I think people are so resistant to even the idea of marketing. It's just like, ugh. But when
Yeah.
you get that marketing is just sharing yourself authentically,
It's simple.
it's not
Yeah.
exhausting. It's actually exciting. It's actually fun. And if you're doing it in a way that feels exhausting, you just want to look at, well, what am I doing that's not really authentic to me? You know?
Yeah. 100%. And it's like, I've heard some of the comments like Instagram is fake or it's not real. That's your projection of it
Yeah.
based on, I think, how you've been using it. You know, because if when I talk about like building your personal brand and, you know, getting yourself out there more and posting more on social media, like you don't have to do anything different other than continue to live and do and think as you are. You just happen to share a little bit more of it. And I happen to share a lot more that some artists are comfortable with. But it's like, even if you just shared your thought process on the creative parts or the aftercare or the client experience or what you're excited about as an artist, people want to get into the lives and the minds of an artist. Like, people are so excited to like see like, who am I going to get tattooed by? And the more that they know who you are, they know, they trust you, they're bound to become what I call like lifers. They just always want to go to you because they like you as a human being, versus someone else who does amazing artwork. They'll choose you over them because like they just like you and the experience is going to be great.
And here's, I think, one of the trickiest parts for people is that when you do it right, like when I say right, I mean you're in alignment with the authentic expression that you have to share with the world. When you do it right, you will turn off people, and you're supposed to. Because to turn on the people that you are meant to work with, that you are speaking to, that authentic message or expression, whatever it is, if you're doing it right, it's going to bother some people. I don't know why that has to be the case, but that's just the world we live in. And you have to be okay with that. And, you know, even me seeing this post, seeing all these people are like, what you're sharing is ruining the tattoo industry. I'm like, okay, whatever. I appreciate you feel that way, but I have to be true. And it let me know that I'm actually onto something here, because people are reacting this hard. And it can be hard for your ego to deal with that, because I just want everyone to like me. But like, fuck that. If you don't make enemies in this lifetime, you're probably not doing it right.
You're not being bold enough to be who you are.
You're not being bold enough to be who you are. Yeah.
And I understand that nervousness, that insecurity of like, well, I just want people to like me. You want to be like the nice person about it. You don't want to cause any ruffle any feathers, but then you do yourself a disservice by like really pushing back who you are. And I think as creatives, it is important for us to really like share who we are. And that's part of the art aspect. It's really like an expression of who we are. That's happened to me. Like, I lose followers all the time, but I gain a lot more than I lose.
Yeah.
But I've lost followers for like fitness stuff. I lost things about like just me sharing my stories, or maybe it's about mushrooms or whatever the thing is. Like, anytime you share a perspective, not everyone's going to agree. And the people that disagree, they're going to hit the unfollow button, which is fine. But you're going to find more of the people who
you want them to unfollow you.
Great.
Because
I don't need your interaction.
Then if only 3% of your following is actually seeing any of your posts anyway, then the people that are unfollowing you because you shared, and this is, I'm speaking in general to any artist or anyone listening, if someone unfollows you because you shared that you're into Dungeons and Dragons or dancing or whatever it is, and you shared authentically about that, and someone's like, I don't want to see this bullshit, and they
Yeah.
unfollow you, that's a good thing, because then your following is made up of more people that are interested. And if you're only getting a small bit of exposure because the algorithm works however it works, that only serves you. That's a good thing. So get off my page. If you don't want to see stuff about spirituality or personal development or, God forbid, resumes in the tattoo
Yeah.
industry, then just don't follow me. It's all good.
But you can also follow and not agree and like everything that that person is saying also.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I started to paint, I thought it had to be this very academic thing of like, you have to paint, from still life or do all these different things. But then like, I just learned you can paint anything and everything that you like. And I was getting into like understanding colors. I grew up loving Pokemon, playing the games, having
Oh,
the
yeah.
cards, all those things.
Red and blue.
And I was like, yeah, I was like,
Game
those are
Boy,
the
hell yeah.
perfect things to practice painting colors in, because it's just dark blue to light blue. And I was embarrassed to share it, but I was just having so much fun and I was learning and progressing. At some point, I was like, I don't care that I'm 30-something-year-old painting this, because like I'm learning through it, but this is just a pastime that I really enjoyed. And I've got this Dragon Ball Z thing that I like, but it brings back like more of who I was to who I am and what I'm working on. But at the end of the day, like I don't want to mask any part of who I am anymore. And part of that also comes from like the things that people may not like or the things you may not like about yourself in the past. Like I'm sharing more of like my tattoo mentorship parts, like the different techniques and stuff. In the same way that you got shat on for the resume, like I'm getting shat on for like, well, what happened to apprenticeships? Like, how come you're teaching people? And it's like, this is for artists who want to progress and grow, creative development, professional development, whatever it is. It's like, yeah, some people may look at it as a tattoo school, but at the end of the day, like, don't you want to get better also? Yeah. How would you want to do that? If you have an artist that you like that is perhaps showing you some techniques in some ways, isn't that a good thing? And my motto, if you will, is like, do better and be better in every single way. So these artists that come in, it's like, we're going to work on the technical stuff. You're going to do better. You're going to be better in tattooing. But we're also going to get a workout in the morning. We're also going to talk about building our business and our personal brand. We're also going to talk about mindset stuff. And it's like, you just have to continue to just like share who you are without worrying. Because if I worried about what other people said, I wouldn't be helping these people change their lives. And I made a post about like, kill the dad bod. I didn't have a really horrible dad bod, but I also know I didn't feel good when I didn't look good either. And I was just proud of the way that I was. I wanted to encourage and motivate people. But that was probably my most unfollowed day. And people loved it and people hated it.
Wow.
But if I really stopped sharing my fitness journey and encouraging people, like how many more messages did I get from people who were like, thank you so much. And I get it all the time, which is why I still post my workouts and stuff. Thank you so much for encouraging me, for motivating me, for helping me turn my life around. Like, this is what life is all about, to be of service to other people, to help them in whatever capacity. So do and be better in every single way. There's always going to be room for that improvement somewhere.
Yeah.
Just don't listen to whatever else anyone says.
Yeah. Believe me, when I started going from just posting tattoos to posting, so I remember there's like one video where I like sat down, I was like, hi, I'm Ryan and I'm here to talk about retirement. Like I didn't know how to make content. I didn't know what I was doing. And like so many people started unfollowing me. I was like, oh shit, I don't know if I should be doing this. I felt so self-conscious. And then I got a DM from someone that was like, thank you so much for sharing that. That was so helpful. Finally, someone's talking about this. And I was like, that one person, I've talked about them before. I don't remember who they were, but like it meant so much to me and it kept me doing it. And it made me realize I don't need to care about these people that
stick to your tattoos.
Yeah.
Like that weighs so much more than the person who's like, stick to tattoos. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't know, like that's happened so many times, but it's like, if you listen to all that, you're not living your purpose. And I think you're doing an amazing thing because like, yeah, tattoo artists don't know much. We're just creatives.
Yeah.
You don't know much about anything else, but like at some point you realize like this is a business. You do have to become more savvy with your money.
Unless it's your hobby. And if it's your hobby, then don't listen to me. But if you're a professional tattooer, then it is a business and you might want to, and someone I was working with, this tattoo, Michael Kelly, amazing tattooer. I was fortunate to get to work with him. And he said, as an artist, I poured everything into my craft. I poured everything into it, every last drop, but I never poured anything into my relationship with money. And I thought that was so well said, because at the end of the day, artists aren't bad with money. They're just a group of people that have this passion, this calling, and they don't know how to do anything other than give everything to it. And I know what that's like because that's where I was. And I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. And when we take that same energy and we could pour it into anything in life. And you pour it into your business or your relationship with money or social media, and you realize that like creating content is just a creative process. It's just a form of
Yeah.
self-expression in the same way that tattooing is. I think artists are magical and capable of extraordinary things no matter where they point that energy.
Yeah, it's just the ability to focus and like want to create something that's amazing. I agree that social media is this creative outlet, and when artists can start to think of it that way, of like it's just be more creative with it. Just have fun. Don't think about what you're supposed to do or trending, this or that. Like just share what you're excited about. Then they really start to like thrive with it because, like you said earlier about the mindset and the perspective shift, they now have a different set of lens to look through of like, oh, I can make this fun again. Like because
Yeah.
otherwise most people in the beginning, they look at social media as work. They look at money as like, this is business. But if you can also learn how to like have fun and get creative, and like when you start to see your money like grow or change or it's doing different things, then it's like, oh, I had some sort of effect in that. And in the grander scheme of things, like we're just creators of this experience of life. So if you can like apply that perspective to it, everything can just be a fun way to create the life that you want. It's going to require more than putting your head onto that forearm and just working on this amazing tattoo. Because when you come out of that, you have to like also make other decisions, which are creative acts on their own, to shape your life in the way that you want it to be.
Absolutely. I'm going to get right back to this episode, but I just wanted to take a moment to speak to anyone that's feeling a little stuck right now in their tattoo business. Maybe you've noticed things have been slowing down a bit. Maybe things are pretty dead out there. I've talked to hundreds of tattooers who are experiencing that right now. A lot of changes have happened in the tattoo industry, and we either adapt with those changes, we learn how to grow in a saturated market, or we get left behind. And for anyone that is interested in actually having a marketing strategy conversation one-on-one with me, there is a link in the show notes with more details on how to schedule a call so that we can get you clear on what your next action is in helping you book more appointments consistently. So whether that is me giving you an assignment to do on your own, or we want to talk about what it looks like to continue to work together, either way, you're going to get the clarity that you need to take the next action in your business. So check that out. I do charge a small amount for these appointments, but like I said, even if it helps you book just one appointment, it will be worth your time, energy, and money. And I look forward to getting to chat with you. So check that link out in the show notes, and let's get back to this episode. Yeah. Why do you think, I constantly ask, and I'm wondering, like, why is, like, my brother's a barber, and he said in the barbering industry, like, they're like all about like learning, education, courses, learning new skills, how to use different tools, personal, professional development, business development. Like, it's not a weird thing in that industry. And then you move over to the tattoo industry, and it's like a really new weird thing. And I don't know why that is the case. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
That's it's an interesting one because I want to say like, oh, because haircutting has been around for so much longer. Tattooing has also.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things of like, there was this group that like wanted to keep it like a particular way. And imagine if the barber industry, like there was just a select group of people really giving the best haircuts, but people needed haircuts as like almost like a necessity,
Right.
But tattooing was like, it's a luxury. It's you don't need it, but it just added to a certain demographics, experience, livelihood, that now as more and more people start to do it, perhaps they felt threatened that their livelihood is being taken away. And I kind of feel that now of the people who feel insecure about all the teaching that's going on, they're perhaps the people that don't want to grow, or they don't want to share the information because like they're worried that it's going to be taken from their pot. Their piece of the pie is going to go missing.
Because if the tattoo industry grows, then you have to grow.
There's always people who are turning 18. There are always people who are getting their first tattoo. There are always older people who are getting their first tattoo. There are always clients who want to like go to different artists and collect from different tattoos. And as that happens, it does force people to level up in the sense of like, the more artists that there are, there's going to be more to choose from. Can you provide not only the best artwork, but the best service, the best experience? And if you can do that, you'll hone in on your own market that isn't a threat to anybody else, because these people are like laser focused on you. And those artists who feel a certain way, or you pick, I'm just going to stereotype, the biker shop or the traditional tattoo shop or the upside tattoo shop, there's going to be people that will only resonate with that. I know I'm not going to pull from the pot or take a piece of the pie from another shop because there are people who want those types of experiences. But as you begin to step more away from being in the public, perhaps you don't want to be on Instagram, you just want to stay in your little pocket, or you want to be off the grid. It may be a little bit harder for you to get new clients as your clients start running out of money as your clients start running out of skin, as they start perhaps dying, it's like, how do you get more new clients?
Yeah.
So then now they're kind of in this survival mode. And it's like, you have this free tool of marketing and reaching and connecting with people that is unprecedented in history.
Yeah.
Before
Never,
you
never been
had
more
to,
eyeballs in one area and you can so easily access it.
yeah. And I understand the word of mouth thing because every tattoo artist gets free word of mouth because your clients are out there talking about it. But now you have this added tool of social media, which is absolutely free. I remember when I started, I was in 2011, Instagram was still out, Facebook was out, but like I printed physical postcards and flyers and I had to like personally introduce myself to people on the street, put them in cars. I got kicked out of malls to like get people to know who I was in a local way. But now with so many people all on the internet, if you just took the time to make a post, you can reach hundreds of thousands of people. And even if you had a small following of like 1,000 followers only, you could reach 1,000 people today,
Yeah.
if you continue to use it right. So there's almost no excuse to like be slow or, not be booked. Like, I just think you're not utilizing a tool that's available to you.
Yeah. And like, at the end of the day, you have your portfolio, and some people say, oh, my Instagram is my portfolio. But Instagram is more than ever a social conversation. There's a conversation that gets created. And if your Instagram is just pictures of your tattoos and they don't see who you are, that's like they're talking to like a flash rack, right?
Right.
They're not talking to you. They're talking to a Cherry Creek flash setup,
Right.
and they're not talking to a human being. The minute you start posting content that shows who you are as a human, as an artist, as a spirit, as an expression of that creativity,
Yeah.
you're no longer the Cherry Creek flash rack. You are
Yeah.
a person. And then your ideal clients will see that. And people don't buy off of logic, especially tattoos, because tattoos aren't logical.
Yeah.
People buy off of emotion.
Yeah.
And so you create that emotional resonance, that connection with your ideal clients. And that's what marketing is at its essence. And social media is one way. And you could say, oh, I don't want to use social media. It's like, that's fine. It's just, why rob yourself and your potential clients of connecting with you in an authentic way? And I think, to a certain degree, like we said, you're going to bother some people. Some people will judge you, and you might have to be a little bit vulnerable. You might have to expose yourself in a way that maybe you're not used to. And I think that's what's hard for people.
Yeah. I understand, like, it's honorable and admirable that you just want to post tattoos and you just want to be seen off the merit of your artwork. And there are tattoo artists and artists in general who they thrive and they do really well.
Absolutely.
But when you get to a point when you're not getting a certain amount of likes or followers, like, you can't complain about that because you're not interacting and engaging with a community. And that's what social media is, just community. So you have to be able to look at that. And if you're not getting new clients, or you feel like you're losing in the algorithm is simply what keeps people's attention, right? And unfortunately, there's so much good tattoo work out there that good tattoos aren't enough. Like, people are just scrolling past. I'm scrolling past a lot of amazing tattoo artwork. Something has to really stand out to me, which is what I call like breaking the scroll pattern, where you stop and you go, whoa, hold on, what is that?
Yeah.
And that's when the algorithm starts working for the viewer, because now the more seconds, the more minutes they're spending on your post, reading, going through your page, you become more recommended. But if people are just scrolling past because it's like great flower, great skull, great tattoo, great bodysuit, whatever, like, you get recommended less and less. So unless you're constantly creating new and exciting work, and you can be an amazing tattoo artist at whatever style, if it's not different enough every time, it now becomes normal. And we know that we just need these endorphin hits of just like, what's new, what's exciting, what's different. And it doesn't matter how different your work is. If it's the same in the general aspect of it to the viewer, you're going to get recommended less. And that's just due to the nature of humans' interest when it comes to looking at things online, just in anything in real life.
Yeah, I'm sure. I can only assume you have a similar philosophy on, like, we all complain, right? To say you don't complain about whatever it is, we're human beings, we complain. I complain about stuff. When I complain, I've gotten in the habit of just recognizing that, like, I can either keep complaining about this, and like, I'm robbing my own energy, I'm robbing my power when I do that. Or I can say, okay, what do I need to shift? Is it a perspective? Is it a habit? Is there a system that I need to improve or put in place that can support me in actually producing the result I want to produce? Otherwise, I'm just going to continue to complain.
Yeah.
What do you complain about, Andy?
Man, I complain about waking up. I complain about working out. But
And you do it
I have
anyway?
to I have to recognize those things, and it's quickly shifting the conversations in my head. So it's like all the self-talk stuff. Like I wake up at 4:15 in the morning, and like I wake up and it's like, I don't want to do this shit today.
Mhm.
I go to the gym and like, I don't want to do this shit today. But it's like you quickly have to realize like I like Marcus Aurelius quote is like, don't be hurt complaining, not even to yourself. And like the quickly you can get at it,
Don't be hurt
don't
complaining?
don't be overheard complaining,
Don't be overheard complaining, especially to yourself?
especially to yourself. So like I
Okay.
have to catch it as quick as possible and like,
Mm.
no, like I wanted to wake up this early for this long because I get to do certain things. So now it's shifting from like, what are we ungrateful for? What are we not happy about? What are we complaining about? To like, what is it that we get to do? So now it just ends up being in this positive outlook of like, I get to wake up, I get to work out, I get to paint, I get to whatever the thing is. And it's like, instead of complaining, let's say about social media, you get to post, you get to connect with people, you get to use it as a platform to market and get yourself more clients. But if we can just recognize like, what is it that we can be grateful in those moments, they're no longer things that we can really complain about. And we forget about the things we've been complaining about. They just pass, they disappear. And
Yeah.
I think that brings it back to like why we do the gratitude share, every day is like just getting people to like find those moments throughout the day. And like, I complain that like my daughter doesn't get dressed and ready for school fast enough, but like my daughter's still here. I get to take her to
Yeah.
school, and then like once you do that, you're like, you're just being silly, man. Like, what are you complaining about?
Yeah.
And I just look at it as like, you're just being ungrateful right now. So
And
everything that we have, can we really complain about it? Because then it's like, yeah, things can always be worse. Just be grateful that you have the opportunity to do and think and feel and be a certain way.
yeah, I really like to like look at my thought process and say, who's talking right now? Who's complaining?
Mhm.
If I said I want to, I lost a bunch of weight recently. I've been really, focused on a lot of it was mindset. I have to be dead serious. I worked with a mindset coach that helped me shift my perspective around my body, my appearance, my
Mhm.
routines and habits. And then there's the practical things, right? But I said I wanted to wake up early and go to the gym, right? But now I'm complaining about waking up and going to the gym. So who's complaining? Is it the past me that has to change?
Yeah.
Or is it the future me that has produced the result I wanted to produce? That person's not complaining.
No.
It's the past me
Yeah.
that has to change that's complaining. So which one really is you? And you could say, well, maybe neither are you, but like if
And
neither are you, then who do you want to be? And recognizing like in this moment, who's complaining about this? Is it
I love
future
that.
me or is it the me that has to change?
Yeah. I love that. I'm actually in the process of writing a book right now, and we break it down into like the three selves. You have like your lower self, which is your past
Hmm.
self, anything before this present moment. Then
Hmm.
you have your present self, which is the one that actually has the power to make a decision. That's who you are. And that person is ever fleeting. Like it's always moving away from the past. It's not quite in the future, but it's just the entity, the being that gets to make the decision and experience it. And
Yeah.
then there's the higher self, which isn't necessarily you either, but it's the best version of you that you could potentially become. So the higher self is not the one that's complaining. It's like, I want you to get here, like climb up here and be here with me. Like we have to do all these hard things. We have to endure a little bit more. And then the lower self is like, we are so comfortable right here. Why do we have to do all this? Can't we just stay the same? And then the present self is the one that has to like listen or ignore it and then just make the decision to move forward. I teach that during, my coaching also is like, anything that is complaining, that is just negative, that is just not allowing you to move forward, it's your lower self. It's the past that just doesn't want to change. And we all have that because that
Yeah.
requires you to do something difficult or challenging to become like the best version of you.
Is the lower self really comfortable? Like doing what it's doing?
There's different versions of it. So it's like, it's all of the emotions of the past that just like, it may be comfortable. It may not be comfortable either. It could just be the one that's it's just always complaining about anything and everything.
Yeah.
But it's just the version of you that has already been experienced and it just doesn't want to take on anymore. Like, can't you just not do anything and just stay right here?
Right.
And you can be there, but the higher self is like just this imagined version of you of like, you have more within you. You
Yeah.
can be better. You can do better. That requires you to do things differently. And then that's
Right.
when it's like, it's going to require the effort. It's the waking up. It's the putting more hours into your tattooing. It's the studying. It's the drawing, learning about money. Like your lower self doesn't want to do that. It may be financially savvy somehow, but the best version of you that really wants to be financially savvy, it's going to require more work and more energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to kind of share about you or your social media or your shop? I think you're just a really fascinating guy, and I'm really glad that we got to connect. Anything else you want to leave us with?
You just got to keep moving forward, and that's the background that I come from is like, just having hardship, just having difficulty. You're not going to be motivated all the time. You're going to want to like give up and quit. But it's like we're always capable of doing and being more, and I think that's the potential of just having like human life, having this energy, having this experience to be able to like push forward. And humans have always been about evolution, and that's the uncomfortable, the painful parts. Like if you're not uncomfortable in some way, you're not going to grow. And when you don't grow and you're stuck in your old ways, like you're going to be really comfortable. And then you're just going to look around and you're going to be content, but you're just not going to like know, like you're really living the most. And I think that's where like depression starts to kick in. So when that depression starts to kick in, just know like you can make it through this. Keep pushing forward. You can do better. You can be better. And everyone has a different way of moving through that. And this is what I'm learning now as people perhaps follow my journey through my own development, seeing my way of coaching. Like some people require a little bit more sternness. I like the boot camp style. I need somebody to tell me like it is. But then other people need like a little bit more gentler, encouraging to get them to like slowly rise of where they're at. But no matter what position that you're in, you can keep moving forward. You can keep striving for more and being more. And it's not going to be comfortable. You're not going to always have people who are encouraging of it, but just know that there are people out there like you, like me, like most other people who are just like, we want you to do better. Come over to this side where we can just show you like your potential. I just love seeing people get better.
Yeah. And what is the people that you work with, that you coach or mentor, like, what do you like to see like after, and how long do you usually work with people? Is there a specific amount of time, or is it kind of like until whenever?
Normally it's like at least a 3-month window. I like the 3 months because like there's a longer period of commitment to it. I just want to see things click. And I want to see the energy back in people's eyes in their life. And they're just like, holy shit, I've tried this and it works. And it's like, of course it works. You've known it. You just have been avoiding to do it. So some people just need things explained or expressed a little bit differently. Some people need smaller bites or smaller steps for them to like get it going. So part of it for me is like learning how to read people and their past habits. But it's like, I like seeing people have new things click. And then all of a sudden now it's like, my life is changing for the better. Yeah. And I want to leave them with that because I can't always be there for them. But it's like, here's your potential. Here's the possibility. Here's the tool to get you out of that hole that you were in before, because I know what that's like. So I can only teach as far as the depths of my experiences and what I've learned. But as I begin to work with more and more people, I take their experiences and it's like, how can we help more people get out of the dark, get into the light, and just like live better lives? And I don't know what that path looks like for me in the future. I just know that if I continue with that intention, that energy, it's going to unfold in the best way possible for me. And more people are just going to join along in the journey.
Yeah. Beautiful, man. Man, I'm inspired. I want to work with you.
Let's do it, brother.
If someone wants to work with you, how do they approach you about that?
They just send me a DM. And I always invite people to send me a DM. Most artists are like, no DMs. My DMs are closed. I won't answer them. But it's like, this is the connection. Right.
You're making it harder for people to connect with you.
Yeah, we're here for people. So on Instagram is where I'm the most active, Andy Foe, and people send me a DM on there and like I get all kinds, like so.
Do you work remote as well, or in person, or different ways?
So most of it is remote. We do some in-person stuff as well. But I just tell everyone, it's like, whatever you're going through, whatever hardship, whatever question, wherever you're at in life, just shoot me a DM. And people are surprised that I answer, but I'm like, I'm a human being too, and I know that I'm just here to be of service. So everyone can just shoot me a DM wherever they're at, whatever industry, field, phase in life. I just want to connect with people.
And your Instagram is again?
Andy Foe, ANDYPHO.
And you're working on a book, and any other projects you got going on in the future that are exciting you right now?
Upside Tattoo is the big one. That's, I just opened that up in November. So we've got, just this great journey ahead.
Coming up on a year then. Wow.
Yeah. So this is like learning a lot when you open a shop about yourself, about the business, about others. Yeah. The book is coming out, maybe in like 6 to 8 months or so. Cool. And that's about it. Like I'm just living it day by day and, just going with the flow and helping people out.
Good. Yeah. How old's your daughter?
I got a daughter that's 5 and my son is 4 months old now.
Oh, wow. Amazing. My daughter's going to be 4. So yeah, it's a beautiful age.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool. Andy, thank you so much. I look forward to chatting again. And I really appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you, brother, for having me on.
Absolutely. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, I just want to prompt that if you got some value out of this conversation, please go and leave us a rating and a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you saw this podcast. It really helps me out and it really helps other people to find this podcast. I want more people to have these types of conversations around money so that we can all be more free and at ease and abundant and able to create the lives that we really want to live. So please share this and rate and review. Appreciate it. Thanks.